I see the idea of universal health care is what we need. When you talk universal health care, though, you're not talking universal access or universal equity of health care. Right now, I can tell you as a primary care physician, very few physicians in this community take SAGA, which is a state less than Medicaid reimbursement plan, and very few physicians take Medicaid. I can tell you that if someone cannot get access to health care because they can't find a physician taking their insurance, they end up in the emergency room. When that person ends up in the emergency room, no, not even that part. They're treated, they're marginalized. They're treated as someone who is abusing the system. So they're coming to the system with a sore throat. We're paying more in cost, but at the same time, that person is being pushed to the back of the bus. And that is not acceptable health care. We need a universal health care plan. We need a government-supervised plan. I can tell you that we're talking about insurance reform now. We're not talking about health care reform. And I want everyone in this room to drive by an insurance company's home offices and look at their law. Okay? How many ground treaties or ground grants they have, but how many times have those insurance companies denied someone's grandmother access to medication?
There is some real agreement on the universality of this debate. I think there's now the question of how you get there, but I think I heard anyway at this summit the other day with a lot of the stakeholders across the spectrum, the notion of where there was commonality around what was universality. Now, words can send people in different directions. We almost have lobbying responses to it. You mentioned a word, some constituents did react. So when you start talking about that, what does that mean, universality? And obviously, you're asking the question, others are as well. What does it mean to have a public option? I think there needs to be a public option to this debate as well. And when you say public option, that scares a lot of people because it looks like, the gentleman I think is left, with that government-run operation. And I'm uneasy about a completely government-run operation, put it my way. But I think you clearly have to have a private public options on the table in that marketplace that people can choose from. And to the extent you can have universality where everyone has to be making choices within that marketplace, but that everyone's in that marketplace is critically, critically important. The last thing to say is, because something you just said I worry about. And it's the point that Joe Courtney made at the outset of his remarks. This is easy right now. You know, the principles. And all kind of say, yeah, universality, prevention, quality, that's great stuff. And the rubber hits the road on this stuff. We start getting down to the details of it. If you're looking for perfection here, then I can predict the outcome. It's going to fail. It's going to fail. I promise you, this will be a disaster over the next 3 or 4 months. The goal is to have a health care proposal on the desk of the President by this summer. That's a very ambitious goal, given the magnitude of this issue. But I think there's a realization if you don't take the moment and drive this, then you miss it. If you kind of wait around and say maybe next year, you're going to miss the opportunity to get it done. If you end up with people who decide, one, they don't like doing this at all, and believe me, their constituencies who think the status quo is fine. And if you've got another set of constituencies who believe, unless this is working perfectly, I'm out, don't count me in. You join those two forces together, that's a defeat. That's a defeat. And I think what a horrendous outcome for our generation, after 60 years, the richest country in the world, the health care is not a right in this country. It ought not to be wealthy, homeless, very easy to everybody gets done. It's got to be a start. And if we wake up, it's not going to pass a bill on a Monday, and Tuesday the world changes. It's going to be a journey in this process. It's going to be costly. If you're going to make the investments, you have that curve bend in the opposite direction. From that 18% of GDP, start to move in the other direction, not to 36, which we can't afford in this case. So we got to start on this process, and I just hope that people will realize that if you're looking for perfection, if we're looking for the ideal, then we're going to miss this opportunity. And it will be a tragedy, in my view, to do so. We've got a chance. We've got a president committed to it. You've got a business community committed to it, a healthcare community committed to it with legitimate issues and points to make on pulling this together. There are very few things that I'm ever going to do that will be important for what happens over the next 12 to 14, 16 weeks on this issue. So whether or not we can get this done. And we know what happened last time. When it failed, that's it. The window closes, and you can wait years to get back at it again.